Welcome to The Explainer, where we go straight to the source material to help you understand the big, complex topics.
All right, today we are diving headfirst into one of the most argued about questions in the entire world of nutrition. For years, the answer felt pretty simple, but, new science is shaking up everything we thought we knew.
For the longest time, the conventional wisdom was all about simple math. You eat more calories than you burn, you gain weight. You burn more than you eat, you lose it. Simple as that. It's a model that comes straight from the first law of thermodynamics.
So let's start with this idea, because it's been the foundation of nutrition science for more than 100 years. It's called the energy balance model. According to this model, a calorie is a calorie. It doesn't matter if it comes from a donut or an avocado. Your body's internal calculator just sees it as a unit of energy. So if you want to lose weight, the prescription is simple. Just eat less and move more. It's an appealingly straightforward idea, right? But what if that model has the cause and effect completely backward? There's a newer, challenging theory that says the real problem isn't the number of calories we eat, but the type of calories. See, this model says this isn't a physics problem, it's a biology problem, and it's all about our hormones. The idea here is that certain foods, we're talking about those refined carbs, kick off a hormonal chain reaction that totally changes how our body handles energy. This one sentence from a leading expert behind the carbohydrate insulin model just nails this revolutionary idea. It completely flips the script on what causes what when it comes to weight gain. Okay, let's really break this down. On the left, you've got the classic view. Overeating is the cause of weight gain. But on the right, the new model says a hormonal response to carbs kicks the whole thing off. So in the old model, fat storage is just overflow. It's a passive thing that happens when you've got too many calories. But in the new model, fat storage is an active process that then causes you to feel hungrier and eat more. See the difference? Both end in weight gain, but the how is totally different.
So here's how that hormonal chain reaction supposedly works. That spike in insulin from refined carbs basically yells at your fat cells to start hoarding energy. This means calories get trapped in your fat tissue, leaving less energy floating around for your muscles and your brain. Your brain picks up on this and thinks there's an energy crisis, like a kind of internal starvation, and its response is to make you hungrier and slow down your metabolism to save fuel.
So, okay, we've got two competing theories. What does the actual evidence say? Well, the debate has been pretty intense, with studies pointing in both directions. Let's look at a really striking animal study that supports this new model. Researchers fed one group of rats a high glycemic diet and another group a low glycemic diet. Now, to keep their weights the same, they actually had to give the high-carb rats less food. And the result? The high-carb rats ended up with 71% more body fat, even though they ate less. You just can't explain that with a simple calories in, calories out equation. Okay, but that's rats. What's really interesting is when we go from those tightly controlled lab experiments to the much, much messier world of long-term human studies. Do we see the same thing happen in people?
Well, to find out, a huge meta-analysis came out in 2023 that looked at the best evidence we have. It pulled together the results from 110 different randomized controlled trials to try and get the clearest picture yet of how cutting carbs really affects our weight.
So, what did all that data actually show? Let's take a look at the key graphs from that study. What they do is plot weight loss against the percentage of calories people got from carbs, and they look at it over different periods of time. And this shows the short-term results brilliantly. For the first 6 months, it's pretty much a straight line down. For every 10% someone dropped their carb intake, they lost, on average, an extra 0.64 kilograms. The connection is super consistent and clear. And at the 1-year mark, that same straight line trend holds up. In fact, it gets even stronger. The people who combined cutting carbs with watching calories and exercising saw the biggest results, which tells us these strategies really work well together. But here's where it gets really interesting. Look what happens after that first year. The line isn't straight anymore. That big benefit from going very low carb starts to fade, and a sweet spot emerges. It looks like the most effective range for keeping the weight off long term is actually a more moderate intake, somewhere between 30 and 40% of calories from carbs. So, what in the world does all this mean for how we should think about food? It kind of seems like neither of these models tells the whole story by itself. So here's a quick summary of what that massive study told us. In the short and medium term, up to a year, cutting back on carbs is clearly tied to losing weight. The less you eat, the more you lose. But for the long haul, that relationship changes, and a more moderate approach seems to hit that sweet spot. So what are the big takeaways here? Well, it tells us a few things. First, calories in, calories out isn't the whole story. But at the same time, the idea that just slashing carbs is some magic bullet that works forever, that doesn't really hold up either. The truth is, it's more nuanced. Cutting carbs is a really effective tool, especially when you're starting out. But for long-term success, a balanced approach that also includes exercise and just being aware of your overall calories seems to be the winning strategy. And one last really important thing. This research was all about the quantity of carbs, but a ton of other studies show that the quality of those carbs, choosing whole grains over refined sugars, is absolutely critical too.
So maybe at the end of the day, the science is telling us to shift the whole debate. Instead of just asking if we should go low carb, maybe the better question is, what are the right carbs in the right amount to keep us healthy for the long run?